Hi, I'm Theo, 23. And the last thing my mother said before I left was, "You'll understand when you're older." What she meant was, "You'll accept that your sister matters more." See, last month, my twin sister Zoe got a $30,000, find yourself, tour through Europe with private guides, spa days, and designer luggage. I got a $15 Amazon gift card and a Hallmark card that said, "Be grateful for the little things." Little things. That phrase haunted me. Little things like me, apparently. I didn't blow up. I didn't scream or cry or throw the card in their faces. I just smiled, tucked it in my wallet, and said, "Thanks." Then I walked out of the restaurant, took a left down Crown Street, and kept walking until I hit the train station. I didn't go home. I took the first train out and never looked back. I had one duffel bag, a laptop, and an idea. For the past year, I'd been building something on the side, something no one had paid attention to. An AI-driven learning platform for neurodiverse students. I'd coded it in dorm basements, library corners, public Wi-Fi cafes. I'd pitched it to professors who said it had potential, but needed polish. I gave it that polish. And now, with zero expectations left to live up to, I decided to launch it. I crashed at Leo's apartment, a friend from the campus robotics club who owed me after I covered his final project when he got the flu. He didn't ask questions. Just handed me a Gatorade and cleared his second desk. "Go build your empire," he said. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to explain myself. Or apologize for not being Zoe, the golden twin, the dancer, the influencer, the one who got pride while I got parental silence. Within 2 weeks, I soft-launched the platform on Reddit and Discord under an alias. Teachers started mailing. Parents sent emails. One mom in Ohio said her son finally finished an online quiz without crying. A teacher in Melbourne asked if I could make it multilingual. I barely slept. I was coding, answering support tickets, tweaking UI. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. Then, out of nowhere, a DM from a startup accelerator in Toronto. They'd seen the Reddit thread. They wanted to talk. I put on my one nice shirt, borrowed Leo's jacket, and showed up on Zoom looking like I knew what I was doing. I didn't. But they didn't seem to care. They offered mentorship. They offered funding. They offered a space in a real office. That night, I stood in the dark on Leo's balcony, listening to downtown buzz and my inbox explode. My name wasn't the other twin anymore. It was Theo, founder of Shifted. And I wasn't going back. Not for a long time. 2 weeks into the accelerator program, I found myself pitching Shifted in a glass-walled conference room overlooking downtown Toronto. 11 venture capitalists, 5 mentors, and one skeptical guy named Brent who wore a Patagonia vest and didn't blink once during my entire demo. When I finished, the room went quiet for a breath too long. Then one of them, a woman named Tara who'd co-founded a mental health app that sold for 8 figures, leaned forward and said, "You built this yourself?" I nodded. "No co-founders?" "Just me." She smiled. "You're either a genius or dangerously obsessed. Hopefully both." The room laughed. Brant even blinked. By the end of the day, I had 2 follow-up meetings and 1 term sheet offer. It wasn't massive, but it was enough to keep going without begging anyone for favors. Enough to hire 1 developer. Enough to prove this wasn't some fluke Reddit moment, it was real. I texted Leo. "We're funded." He texted back. I just screamed in the elevator. That same week, Zoe posted an Instagram story from the Amalfi Coast. Sunshine and soul-searching. She was eating lobster on a yacht, tagged in every luxury brand you could name, while I was eating cold falafel in a co-working kitchenette and debugging API calls till 2 a.m. And still, I wouldn't have traded places. But the thing that really threw me? My mom called. She hadn't called since before graduation. I'd sent them a thank you email when I left, polite and vague, and got a thumbs up emoji in return. Now, months later, she calls. The screen lights up, "Mom." I let it ring. Let it go to voicemail. Then curiosity got me. I listened. Her voice was tight. Nervous. Like she was pretending to be casual. "Hi, honey. We heard something about a project you're doing? Something online? From one of Zoe's friends, actually." It sounds like a big deal. We were just wondering if you might want to, catch up. Maybe have dinner when you're back in town. Okay. Love you. Love you. They always said that like a period. Not a sentence. Not a question. I didn't reply. But Zoe did. She messaged me that night, Mom and Dad are freaking out. What did you build? I sent her a link to Shifted's site. No explanation. No pitch. Just a link. 10 minutes later, she texted, Holy SHT Theo. Asterisk. She didn't say anything else. But the next day, she posted a story, not of the beach, or a dress, or her avocado toast. It was a photo of me and her as toddlers, sitting on the kitchen floor, both wearing Spider-Man pajamas, grinning with yogurt all over our faces. Caption: should have been paying attention to this twin all along. I stared at it for a long time. It wasn't an apology. But it was a start. 3 days later, I walked into the lobby of the Rising North Tech Summit in downtown Toronto, badge around my neck, palms sweating, and stomach doing somersaults. I was on the speaker list. Not buried in the footnotes either. Second row, middle of the day, big hall. Theo Nilsson, founder of Shifted, personalizing education with code. The Holy SH*T part hit me when I passed a billboard-sized banner with my face on it. Not just my name. My face. It was the photo from the article in EdTech Digest, the one where I looked vaguely competent, and almost like someone who knew how to wear a button-down. Zoe had sent it to me the day the article came out. You clean up okay, Mr. Disruption. That made me laugh harder than it should have. The talk went better than I expected. I opened with the story of how I got a $15 gift card for graduation while my twin flew business class to Milan, and it landed like a firecracker. The audience leaned in. They laughed. They clapped. They got it. The underdog thing. The overlooked kid thing. The quiet twin who snapped thing. I ended with a live demo of Shifted's newest feature, real-time adaptive learning modules for kids with ADHD, and the place erupted. That's not hyperbole. Standing ovation. I stood there blinking, stunned, while a man from Intel came up and said, "We need to talk." Afterward, I ducked into a side hallway to breathe. That's when the call came in. Leo. He never calls during conferences. I picked up. Your parents are at the office. I blinked. Like my parents? Yep. I was working late and someone knocked. I thought it was Uber Eats. It was your dad in a freaking sweater vest asking if Theo was around. Your mom brought homemade cookies, Theo. Cookies. I almost dropped the phone. You want me to send them away? I hesitated. No. Tell them I'll call tomorrow. But don't let them into the server room. Seriously. Mom will press something. Leo snorted. Copy that. I hung up, still stunned. They'd shown up. Not emailed. Not texted. Not DM'd through Zoe. They'd shown up in person. But here's the part that really shattered me. I wasn't angry. Not in that moment. I was just wary. You spend your whole life begging someone to notice you, and the second they do, all you can think is, why now? Why not when I got my first A? My first job? My first rejection letter that made me think maybe I wasn't cut out for any of it. They wanted back in. But I wasn't sure there was a back anymore. Later that night, I found a voice message from Zoe. They're trying, Theo. In their weird, clunky way. I think seeing you on stage made something click. Like they suddenly realized you're not the background character anymore. I stared at the wall of my hotel room, hands still on my phone. I didn't know what to say. So I said nothing. But inside, something shifted. I'd thought the summit would be the peak. Turns out, it was just the moment the world caught up to the fact that I'd already climbed the mountain. 2 weeks later, I flew home. Not because I missed them. Not because I forgave them. Because my little cousin Liv was graduating high school, and she asked, not Mom, not Dad, not Zoe, Liv. And Liv was the only one who used to sneak into my room at Christmas to play Minecraft, while the grown-ups argued about whose turn it was to host Easter. So I went. I landed on a Thursday, Ubered straight to Leo's cousin's Airbnb, neutral territory, and wore the same black button-down I'd worn at the summit, like armor. When I pulled into the driveway of my childhood home, everything looked the same. White shutters. 2 manicured hedges. Welcome mat with fading letters that still read "Family is everything." Right. Mom answered the door with a look I hadn't seen since middle school, hopeful and terrified. "Theo," she said like the word itself might run away. "Hi." She stepped aside. Dad appeared behind her, holding a tray of lemonade like we were in some suburban episode of The Twilight Zone. Zoe was already inside, sitting cross-legged on the couch with a look that said I will jump in if this goes nuclear. I didn't sit. "Let's not do the whole performative brunch thing," I said, voice calm. "I came for Liv." Dad nodded. "Understood." Mom looked like she wanted to cry but was afraid tears might ruin the plan. "Can we just say something?" she asked. I shrugged. "Sure." She took a breath like it hurt. "We were wrong. About the way we treated you. About the way we didn't see you." Dad stepped forward. We didn't realize how tilted it all was. I almost laughed at that. Tilted. Like I'd been living in a funhouse mirror my whole life and they were just now noticing the floor sloped. Zoe chimed in softly. "I think they're finally listening." There was a beat of silence. Then Mom blurted, "We want to invest." I blinked. "In what?" "In your company." I snorted before I could stop myself. "You want to invest now?" "We believe in it," Dad said. "In you." You believed in Zoe when she had a YouTube channel about skincare routines and I was building a machine learning model in the basement. No one spoke. I stared at the floor. You know what I needed back then? One adult who said, "Hey, I see you trying." Not money. Not favors. Just a moment of freaking recognition. "I'm trying," Mom whispered. "Now. And I appreciate the effort," I said, finally sitting down. "But I don't need investors. I have those. I need parents. And I'm not sure I believe you can be that." That landed like a body blow. But I didn't say it to be cruel. I said it because it was true. The kind of true that burns clean. Later that night, Zoe found me sitting on the deck out back, nursing a root beer and staring at the stars. She handed me a cookie. Chocolate chip. Still warm. "Homemade?" She smirked. "Frozen dough." "I'm not a wizard." We sat in silence for a while. "I think they're really scared," she said. "Of me?" "Of what they missed." I nodded. That made sense. "Don't do it for them," Zoe said. "Don't forgive them because they're finally clapping. Do it because you're already miles ahead, and holding on to that old hurt is just dead weight now." I looked at her. "I thought you didn't do wisdom." "I'm evolving." I smiled. Then I handed her the $15 Amazon card from my wallet. "Here." She stared at it. "Seriously?" "I've been carrying it for months. But I think I'm done." She turned it over. "What do I do with this?" "Whatever you want," I said, standing. "Just don't waste it on bath bombs." She laughed. It wasn't closure. But it was lighter. 6 months later, I was in a boardroom on the 19th floor of a tower that had shifted etched into the glass walls, our new HQ. A year ago, I was debugging Python in a co-working closet with folding chairs and Leo microwaving ramen behind me. Now, I had a team of 27, a UX director who used to work at Duolingo, and a project manager named Sal who wore velvet blazers and made Gantt charts look sexy. We just closed a partnership with the Department of Education in New South Wales. New. Freaking. South Wales. Our international pilot in Toronto middle schools had outperformed projections by 42%. Investors who once ghosted us were suddenly begging for a seat at the Series A table. One of them even brought homemade biscotti. I didn't eat it. In the middle of our roadmap meeting, my phone buzzed. "Zoe." I ignored it, but then it buzzed again. And again. I finally glanced. "Zoe, hey. I need you." "It's Mom." "Yar. Not a drill." I didn't even say goodbye. I was in the elevator before anyone registered I'd stood up. 20 minutes later, I was in the sterile fluorescence of St. Luke's emergency room. Zoe was pacing. Dad sat with his elbows on his knees, knuckles white. "What happened?" I asked, breathless. "Heart palpitations." shortness of breath. Zoe said. She collapsed during a client lunch. Dad looked up, his face pale and younger somehow. They're running tests. I nodded. Saturday. Waited. Hours passed. Hospitals are time vacuums. Eventually, a doctor came out and said the words mild cardiac event and she's stable and stress-induced. Then he looked at Dad. She needs to rest. I don't care how important her charity gala is. Cancel it. Dad nodded. And that's when something in him cracked. He turned to me, eyes raw. She keeps trying to fix everything. It's like she's trying to earn your forgiveness in one sprint. And I keep pushing her to just let it go. But she won't. She wants to be your mom again. I don't need a mom, I said quietly. I needed one back then. He flinched. Then said, I know. We sat in silence. Eventually, Zoe and I went to the vending machine. She pressed her forehead to the glass while I fed coins into a machine that had clearly never heard of inflation. She keeps a box, Zoe said suddenly. What? Your newspaper articles. Screenshots of every interview. The shifted logo on a mug. It's all in a shoebox under her bed. She doesn't even use a folder. I stared at her. She reads your posts out loud sometimes, she added, like she's practicing pride. We walked back to the waiting room with 2 Cokes and 3 Kit Kats, because grief is weird and sugar helps. When Mom finally came out, pale but smiling, I didn't say much. I just hugged her. And she hugged back. Hard. That night, I went back to my apartment. I poured a glass of wine. I stared at the corkboard where the Amazon card used to be. And then I pinned something new, a sticky note that said try anyway. Forgiveness wasn't about forgetting the past. It was about refusing to let it chain me to who I used to be. Exactly 1 year to the day after I walked out of that graduation dinner with a $15 gift card and a smile that wasn't real, I stood on stage in New York City, main hall, packed seats, double-decker balconies full. Behind me, a massive LED screen flickered the title of my keynote. Invisible no more, building what they said I couldn't. The crowd clapped before I said a word. When it finally quieted, I looked out over the room and said, Last year, I got 2 gifts. One was a $15 Amazon card. The other was clarity. Guess which one changed my life? They laughed. But it wasn't just a joke. It was truth. Sharpened over 12 brutal, beautiful months. After the talk, investors swarmed. Teachers asked for selfies. A kid with noise-canceling headphones and a hoodie that said not broken, just wired differently handed me a crumpled drawing of a dragon wearing glasses and said, Shifted helped me pass math. I kept that drawing in my backpack. That night, at the after-party, I stepped out onto the balcony to breathe. Zoe called. Dad wants to brag, but he's afraid you'll hang up. Put him on. A pause. Then his voice. I saw the stream. You were brilliant. Thanks. I mean it, Theo. You changed the world. I'm trying to, I said. Not done yet. We didn't say much more. But before we hung up, he added, We're learning. I looked out over the city skyline, lights blinking like Morse code from the universe, and whispered, Me too. When I flew home 3 days later, Zoe picked me up from the airport. She was wearing jeans, sneakers, and a shifted hoodie. You know, she said, sliding behind the wheel. I used the card. The Amazon one? Yep. What did you get? She smiled. A frame. For your first newspaper article. I laughed. You're so sentimental now. I contain multitudes. When we got back to the house, Mom had baked cinnamon rolls. From scratch. Dad made coffee. They didn't make speeches. They didn't smother me in questions or awkward hugs. They just were there. And somehow, that was enough. Later that night, after the noise died down, I stepped into my childhood bedroom. The posters were gone, the bed was smaller than I remembered, but one thing was still taped to the back of the door. A sticky note I'd left years ago, long before any of this. Maybe someday they'll see. I didn't rip it down. I wrote a new one. I see me now. And pinned it right next to the old one. Because the truth is, the $15 gift card never bought coffee. It bought fire. It bought freedom. It bought the decision to stop asking for space and start claiming it. It bought the moment I stopped waiting to be invited to matter. Now, when people ask how I did it, how I turned being overlooked into being undeniable, I tell them this. Sometimes the world gives your twin the spotlight. Good. Let them have it. Because you'll build the stage. And one day, the whole damn room will clap. For you. The quiet twin. The storm they never saw coming.